It's the Phoenix, Arizona weather discussion. This is for Friday, the 2nd of August. I'm Michael Groff. The main weather headline this weekend concerns the heat. Temperatures well up into the excessive range and closing in on record territory in some spots. And that will continue through about Monday. Then temperatures will start to trend down. Rain chances will trend back up as deeper monsoon moisture comes into the region. Now, we do have slight chances of storms this weekend, but again, the better chances should hold off until next week. We'll talk about all of that and everything else in just a moment. But before we do, it is Friday, and that means it's Photo Friday here. That's where we take a look at some of the photos and or videos that you guys have submitted. First up, David Parnell, some leftover pictures from his trip to Ireland from earlier in the summer. He's got a couple of nice shots to take a look at there. David Nielsen over in the White Mountains. Now, this was on the 27th of July. Beautiful time to be up there. Tell you that. Anytime you can get up to Flagstaff or over into the Eastern Mountains, the White Mountains, the Rim, wherever, the higher elevation, do it. Might run into a few storms, might get a little wet, but that's always good. Then Miles Sampson out there, Southern California, the Nixon fires burning out there, and lots of smoke, lots of stuff going on, and it's just been hot all across the Southwest. You know, Phoenix was the only major city or only city in America to ever average or have a mean temperature over 100 degrees for an entire month until this summer when places like Needles and Palm Springs joined in on that. So yes, it's been hot all across Southern California, all across the Southwest. This is from the one and only Michelle. She calls it the horsey sunset. You could kind of make out the horse head there with the sunset going down. It's kind of a cool picture. And then this is from Joe, and he's in Maine right now. And beautiful weather up in Maine. Temperatures in the 70s, low 80s, some showers off and on. So any way you can get out of the heat. If you don't want to go to the White Mountains, you don't want to go up north, go way up north up to Maine. And then last but certainly not least, Ryan Seek. At least in our pictures for the week, Ryan Seek's got the lightning shots from down there in Pinal County, basically the I-8 corridor down there by Maricopa and Stanfield. That's where all of these pictures were taken. Some nighttime action. Gotta love all of those pictures out in the desert, getting the lightning shots. We really do appreciate those. So thank you, Ryan. Thank you for sending those on in. And we do have video as well. Again, this is from David over there in the White Mountains. And we'll just roll this. That's beautiful, isn't it? And a little time lapse. The clouds rolling on by. Love it. I was up in Flagstaff a few weeks ago with the one and only Michelle and the girls, and it was sensational. Outside of an injury, it was absolutely spectacular. The weather was great. Temperatures were in the low 80s. Just perfect. All right. If you have photos or videos you'd like to send in, groffshow@gmail.com. That's the email address, groffshow@gmail.com for Photo Friday. All right, well, let's get into it because this is going to be one of those marathon kind of videos. We got a lot to cover. All right, first of all, the almanac from yesterday. Roll an old video there. 107 degrees the afternoon high, 87 the morning low, 106 and 85 are the averages for this time of year, 116 that record high. And our month to date, that is not right. That should have been reset to 0. So, but that's what happens when I haven't had my coffee and I put together the almanac. All right, taking a look outside right now. Here at 1:30 p.m., we've got partly cloudy sky. We've got 107 degrees at Sky Harbor, dew point 60, humidity 21%, a light wind. The barometer is falling. All right, upper level weather pattern across the nation right now shows high pressure here across the Southwest. It's actually sitting to the north of us across Utah and Colorado. The flow aloft is out of the east and southeast. Ideally, that's perfect for bringing monsoon moisture from the east and southeast into Arizona and storms off the mountains into the lower deserts. But upper heights this afternoon are cresting near 600 decameters. And so with that warm air aloft, we're going to have a pretty strong capping inversion here over southern Arizona this afternoon. So it would take a very strong outflow boundary or colliding outflow boundaries to get storms to really get fired up here in the southern deserts. And that's not an impossibility. That could happen, but the chance is pretty low. So we've kept rain chances down there at or even under 10% for this afternoon and tonight. But we'll keep an eye on how things are progressing. The other thing we have to watch for overnight are these little gravity waves, these decaying thunderstorms. They just put out these ripples to the atmosphere. And sometimes, like this morning, they can touch off some light showers or a couple of rumbles of thunder. And so we may have to watch for those in the early morning hours over the next couple of days. All right, the watch warning map, we've got heat as the main story here across much of the nation. The southeast U.S., the Gulf Coast, the southern plains, the middle Atlantic coast, out here in the west. The Intermountain West, the Pacific Northwest, Idaho, and down here into the Southwest as well. We've got an excessive heat warning in effect for the greater Phoenix area. That's from 10 a.m. tomorrow morning through 8 p.m. on Sunday. And the National Weather Service may well extend that into Monday as well. And we do have tropical storm watches and warnings now in effect across South Florida, and we'll get into that. And that's a whole can of worms we're going to talk about in just a moment. Convective outlook for today, we've got that marginal risk of severe storms, again, from basically the Tennessee Valley all the way over to the middle Atlantic coast and up toward the northeast. Baltimore, Washington, D.C., Raleigh, Wilmington, North Carolina, Charlotte, and down to Myrtle Beach in that marginal risk, as well as parts of Colorado and Nebraska. And here in Arizona, the southeastern corner of the state, Tucson, Douglas, Nogales, Bisbee, Sierra Vista, you are in that marginal risk, that level 1 out of 5 marginal risk for severe storms. And in that zone, the storms could put down some winds greater than 58 miles per hour this afternoon. So we'll watch for that. And here in the rest of the state in the green, thunderstorms possible. While we don't expect any organized severe weather elsewhere, any one storm during the monsoon can always become severe. The tropics and the Atlantic Basin, potential tropical cyclone number 4. That's on the board now. And we've been watching this and the eventual track of all of that and the models and all the social media stuff about it. And the track for the latest official forecast from the National Hurricane Center does take this up into the far eastern Gulf, right up the west coast of Florida, passing Fort Myers, Tampa Bay, coming ashore right around there, and up into North Florida, and then moving up the east coast of the United States and remaining a tropical storm. Could it become a hurricane? Low chance of that, but always a possibility. With tropical systems, you have to expect the unexpected. Now, as I do say that, I always encourage people to rely on official sources of weather information, the National Hurricane Center in particular, your meteorologist there in Florida, the National Weather Service in Tampa or Jacksonville or Melbourne or whatever. Rely on those folks, the official sources of weather information. Who you probably shouldn't rely on is just randos on the internet, rando weather enthusiasts, not even people that have a degree in the science, not even people that have studied the science, but just enthusiasts that take deterministic model output and just plunk it down on Twitter. Yeah, I know, I didn't blur out the guy's name, not gonna. And again, this isn't even the worst offender. I've seen far worse than this. But, showing stuff like this just doesn't do anybody any good. Now, that said, he was called out by a fantastic meteorologist in our business, Aubrey Urbanowicz, who works over there in Virginia, the Shenandoah Valley. But I'll tell you, how you think this is going to go and how it actually went are very strange. This guy posts this sensational stuff and gets 128,000 views. Aubrey says it's irresponsible, and I agree with her completely. It is irresponsible to post this kind of nonsense. The storm, by the way, this wasn't posted today. This was actually posted a couple of days ago using just one deterministic model and kind of say, oh, this is the worst case scenario, but and people, I guess, like this. They love sensationalism, and that's why my YouTube channel, 1,200 subscribers. People that do these crazy forecasts, they put these models up there and they present it as a forecast, or they speculate, or they talk about this and give the gloom and doom and the hype and all that. They have tens or hundreds of thousands of subscribers and millions of views. And I just don't think that's the right way to go about this. We have so much misinformation in the weather enterprise, and it extends to news, it extends to everywhere. But in the weather biz, where lives are at stake and this kind of thing, I just think it doesn't do any good to post this stuff, because what happens is this is a deterministic model. And if it's wrong, then people point back at guys, or women like Aubrey, or like James Spann, or like any other reputable person in this business, or even me. I'm not even saying I'm that reputable, but just even a guy like me who just does factual, objective model discussion, and we do talk about what's going on, and we don't do the hype, and we're now branded in with the rest of these clowns that do this kind of stuff, that do this hype and this nonsense. And the responses that Aubrey got to that post were overwhelmingly against her. And I've seen other meteorologists do this too, and they get called out for it because people apparently want the hype. I will never understand it. Twitter has turned into such a cesspool. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. That's my rant for the day. That's my soapbox. We've talked about the fly-by-nighters and the crazy people, all the wannabes and the amateurs and the adrenaline junkies of the internet, I guess. The people that just, they love that dopamine from the likes and the views and all that. And, when you monetize engagement, that's the kind of thing that's going to happen, is people will say the most outrageous and sensational things just to get views. And sadly, or maybe not sadly, you will not get that here. You might get that opinion. You might get a strong opinion or two about people that do these wild things, but you're not going to get any of that hype and any of that nonsense. That said, the tropics in the East Pacific right now, I know. Soapbox, okay, I'll climb off the soapbox. Tropics of the East Pacific, got Hurricane Carlotta out there. That's not really going to be a factor in our weather. That's going to drift harmlessly out to the west, weaken, and just eventually just dissipate. The Eastern Pacific has been very quiet so far, and we expect that to continue. Although we may see a couple of storms pick up. The conditions are becoming more favorable for the development of tropical cyclones out here. But again, we don't anticipate anything to bother us anytime soon. All right, the precipitation outlook, this is valid through Friday morning of next week. Rain amounts in Phoenix, not much. Generally at or under 1/10 of an inch. Could see as much as an inch, maybe a little bit more than that over the higher terrain of northern and eastern Arizona. But whenever we show you this graphic, you know what I'm going to tell you. Your amount will vary. It's the monsoon. Any one storm can dump a deluge. We've seen that all this season. Some isolated spots, 1 and 2 inches of rain in short order, less than an hour. Can happen, but for the most part, this represents an average of what we'll see. We do expect rain chances to increase over the next several days, and we're going to talk about that as we get to the models right now. Take a look at things. This is the GFS. It is the 12Z run, and this is valid at 5 o'clock this afternoon. High pressure generally concentrated to the north of us, upper heights 597 to 600 decameters, and that, folks, is just plain old hot. And what it means for us down at the surface for the rest of the day today, we'll call it mostly sunny to partly cloudy. Isolated showers and thunderstorms develop over the higher terrain. And with that easterly steering flow, they'll be pushed toward the lower deserts. Now, the winds aloft are not particularly strong, so storms will be fairly slow moving. One thing that is evident, though, is the lower levels of the atmosphere. I know it doesn't feel like it when you step outside, but they're relatively dry. And so there's pretty strong D-Cape values, downstream, downshear Cape. So these downdrafts are going to be strong. The outflow boundaries are going to be strong, and they'll be capable of producing some gusty winds, 50, 60 miles an hour for the strongest storms. and that could help to propagate more storms toward the lower deserts. But we'd really, really need a strong outflow boundary to push on in here to get storms into the Phoenix area. That said, this afternoon temperatures should be, probably up above 110. I'd say anywhere from 108 to 113 for this afternoon. 10% chance of storms tonight, otherwise lows, low 80s to low 90s. Tomorrow, basically the same pattern other than might be a degree or two hotter. Highs 111 to 115 for both Saturday and Sunday. Mostly sunny mornings, partly cloudy afternoons and overnights with that 10% chance of storms each day. And the better chances of storms will be over the higher terrain. But even there, I'd say they'll just be widely scattered. So go to Monday, it's more of the same, really. The ridge may weaken ever so slightly. And so we'll see a continuation of widely scattered afternoon and evening showers and storms. High temperatures will still be around 110 to 114 here in Phoenix, so no relief just yet. But the models continue to advertise a rather notable inverted trough coming in here as we go into about Tuesday. And with that, the flow aloft begins to increase out of the east further. Monsoon moisture should deepen a bit, so we'll be really in the soup here. And this has been a very consistent message off the models, keying in on Tuesday as an active day. Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday night, scattered to numerous showers and thunderstorms over the higher terrain, pushing toward the lower deserts. And with the presence of that inverted trough, better dynamic support, slightly cooler air aloft, we could get storms here into the lower deserts, including Phoenix, and we could really use one of those good, widespread, soaking rain events, something to break up this heat. We've been waiting for it all summer. It just hasn't happened yet. We've had these storms here and there popping up randomly, and we'll still see that, but I think Tuesday is, if there's a day to key in on, this is probably our best day, at least based on model data. And so there is pretty good agreement on that. But even so, we're only going to bump the rain chances, at least for now, up into the 30 to 40% bracket. And now if Tuesday turns out to be relatively active, Wednesday would be less so, but otherwise we'll just keep at least a chance of showers and storms going into Wednesday. High temperatures will be backing down a couple of degrees. Not necessarily dramatically, but I'd say by Wednesday and especially Thursday, highs probably down to about 103 to 108, which is closer to seasonal averages. And again, scattered afternoon and evening showers and storms. The ridge will be slightly weaker, and so this should promote better chances of storms across the state, including here in the lower deserts. Going out to a week from today, this is Friday the 9th, and the GFS doing what the GFS does. And it's got another tropical cyclone out there in the eastern Pacific. We're not going to really worry about that. We've got high pressure here in control across the southwest, and so we'll continue with scattered afternoon and evening showers and storms going out 10 days. This is Sunday the 11th, and again, the GFS has another one of these rogue tropical systems down in the northern Gulf of Mexico. And unlike the hype masters, they'll sit there and tell you, look out, New Orleans, in about 10 days, you're going to get it. And look, could that happen? Sure. Is it going to happen? Probably not. This is one model run. One deterministic model run. Do you know how many models are run each day? Just in the GFS and its ensemble, that's 31 members. There's 31 model runs. There's 51 in the European ensemble. There's, what is the Canadian got? I think 21. So there's all these different, and then there's the tropical models, and those are run, 4 times daily or whatever. So you've got all these different models that are run constantly. Any one of them could show something disastrous, something major, something impactful, and then the next model run, it's not even there. And that's why when we're talking out here, and I even hesitate, when you guys watch these videos, you guys that are watching this, you get it. Okay, you know what we're showing here. This is Sunday the 9th, or the Sunday the 11th of August. Okay, you don't hear me telling you any specific details about what's happening. We speak in broad generalities out here at 10 days. We do believe monsoon should continue with high pressure sitting off to the north and east of us, southeasterly flow, scattered afternoon and evening showers and storms. A very generic monsoon forecast because the models say no real change in the overall synoptic patterns. Some slight variances, but that's going to be about it. But I can't tell you for sure, hey, it's going to rain in Phoenix on Sunday the 11th. And just as I can't tell you there will be a tropical cyclone in the northern Gulf of Mexico on Sunday the 11th, and I would never tell you that. All right, looking at rainfall for Phoenix, this goes out through the 16th of August. This is off the GFS Ensemble. And again, this is model output. This is not an official forecast. The ensemble mean, yeah, hey, look, it's up there about 3/4 of an inch. That's great. European ensemble coming up here toward a 1/2 inch as well. So, we're getting somewhat better model agreement toward at least a little bit better precipitation odds here as we go out deeper into August. But again, we speak in broad generalities. And temperatures off of the national blend of models. Unfortunately, it looks like we're going to stay above average for the next 10 days. And again, this is looking like, at least right now, we are mathematically on track to have the hottest summer on record here in Phoenix. Given that June, the mean temperature was 97 degrees. July was 101.3. To have the hottest summer on record, we need a mean temperature for June, July, and August for meteorological summer to be at 97 degrees. We are, we're sitting up there over 99. So August would have to be around 92 or so, 92 and a 92.5 or so for us to avoid having the hottest summer on record. So I think mathematically speaking, I know this isn't hype. We're just using basic math. I would say the probability is pretty high that this will go down as the hottest summer on record. And that would mean that since 2020, we have had the 3 of the 5 hottest summers, or the 3 hottest summers on record have been recorded in the last 5 years. So pretty wild stuff. All right, that's it for the Phoenix, Arizona weather discussion for today. My next video is due back here on Monday morning, but of course updates before that if necessary. Should you happen to enjoy these videos, then be sure to subscribe, like, share, click that notification bell, leave those comments, questions, and suggestions. And if you really like what we do here, then click that thanks icon below the video here on YouTube and make those monetary contributions or donate directly to me via PayPal, grofshow@gmail.com. The executive producer of the Phoenix, Arizona weather discussion is my one and only, the sweetest of all time, the Asian sensation, and I will hype the hell out of her. I'm talking about my one and only Michelle. There she is with sweetchildaz.com.org and the Facebook page of the same name, Sweet Child Arizona. Give that a look. And of course, I've got Michelle all linked up down in the description. She will get the hype. And there's, that's how it goes. You know what else gets the hype? Our streaming station. It's called KMGX. We play a ton of music. We have a lot of fun with that. It's a great station. I will say this, it's the best station on the net. That's what it is. Because there's thousands of songs all in one place, 3 generations of music, 6 decades worth of music concentrated into a station. And it's fantastic. We just have tons of fun going on with that. All right, thank you guys so much for watching, all of your continued support. It is so greatly appreciated. Please be safe, stay cool, stay hydrated out there, and have yourselves a great Friday and a wonderful weekend.